Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This guy opposite me is Tim, and this is the Second Legacy. And thank you for stopping by. We have got a show. This show is going to have everything. I'm excited. It's got Hunter Biden. It's got President Biden. It's got irony. It's got hypocrisy. It's got racism. It's got Catholicism. It's got gun control, and it's got brewing. Tim, what else could we want in a day for a Friday? I mean, like that is that is going to be delicious.
Yeah, that's a pretty full plate if you ask me. And
Yeah,
old Hunter Biden.
it is.
Gosh,
It is. It's
this is good. This
it's going to
is
be
good.
good. It's gonna be so great. I'm so excited to do this. But now, people of the Second Legacy, of course, you'll notice I'm in a different environment. I am in Wisconsin. I am at the USCCA Expo, which explains why I'm in a different setup. But that is neither here nor there. I'm just trying to explain the backdrop. But Tim, man, how are you, sir? Before I get too excited, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, because anytime an anti-gunner tries to use the Second Amendment in various Supreme Court decisions to defend themselves against laws their own political family supported, I'm having a pretty good day. The hypocrisy is just too much.
Wow, that was even that intro. Man, we are just dangling this. You know what? I think we owe it to the people. Let's just jump right in. Mr. Producer, let's show you what Hunter Biden is up to now, the bane of the Democrat existence. So this is number one. Will Hunter fight a gun charge by clinging to the Second Amendment? The Bidens could end up on opposite sides of argument if Hunter challenges gun law. Well, this came out today. This is something, Tim. We've been following the saga that is Hunter Biden with the gun charges, with the diversionary agreements, with the sweetheart deals. Now they're going back to the well of maybe the Bruin decision to get him out of trouble. It's just, you can't make this up, man.
Well, it looks like old Hunter's going to be clinging to his guns and Bibles going forward.
Oh my goodness. Oh, with the Obama quote.
He's going to show up to court with his Bible because I'm sure he's found faith. Yeah.
Oh, man. See, I told you people, this is going to be good. Because, yes, indeed, all the things they've told us, Bruin decision is evil. Clutch into your guns and your religion and your Bibles like Obama told us. By the way, both of these people are the two greatest gun salesmen in America for the past century. It turns out that when they're in trouble or their family's in trouble, we're just going to lean back on Supreme Court rulings. It's okay because they're elite and they're special. Yeah, let's get into this. Anything you want to add before we throw in all the goodness, Tim?
I was just going to say, what's interesting is they want to challenge these rulings until they need these rulings. Then they're going to embrace these rulings. And then we're done with the rulings and they, however the court case is decided, they're going to go right back to being against the rulings. So this is so typical. It's kind of like we're going to pass universal health care, but we're going to exempt ourselves from the universal health care, that being the representatives that passed it. It's just kind of interesting to see these people, rules for thee, not for me type thing,
Was that the second Obama reference that you made in the first 5 minutes of this video? Was that?
Quite possibly.
Sir, you better be careful. I mean, after all,
I'm still traumatized.
He was the number one gun salesperson. He was the number one gun salesperson. We owe him so much, but let's get into this. Mr. Producer, let's throw out number two and show the people of what's going on here because you can't make this up. After the spectacular collapse of his sweetheart deal with the Justice Department, of which we covered, by the way, Hunter Biden's lawyer angrily told the prosecutors in open court to just rip it up. It appears, however, that the defense team does not want to shred one part of the deal, the diversion agreement, to avoid any charge over his false statement to obtain a gun permit. The defense is now arguing that since the two sides signed the agreement before the implosion in court, it's final and complete. Now, Tim, why would they not want that one specific part to not go away? Why would they want that one part, I wonder?
Yeah, I don't know. It certainly seems curious, doesn't it? It's a real head scratcher. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. It's almost like they don't want something conflicting with the narrative of the Biden reelection campaign around guns when his son's trying to defend himself through the Supreme Court. But Hunter doesn't care. Yeah.
No, I mean, they're going to use anything they can to get him off the charges. And just to be clear to everybody watching, I don't agree with the 4473 forms. I don't agree with the NICS system. I've never supported either of those. I think 4473 form is just gun owner registration have seen what ATF does when they go to gun stores. They can take whatever they want. It's basically they're just keeping their database at the gun stores until they want to access it. And so all this stuff is not something we support in the slightest. What we're doing is pointing out the hypocrisy of these politicians that support these laws right up until they get jammed up by these laws or one of their family members does. And then all of a sudden they want to fall back on Supreme Court cases and the Second Amendment and anything else they can think of to defend themselves or their loved one. And it's that hypocrisy that we need to point out here.
Oh, yeah. There's only a slight dose of it. In fact, let me show you guys, number 3, Mr. Producer, how Hunter is resisting. Because you cannot make this stuff up. Hunter, however, is insisting that the Justice Department will have to pry the agreement from his cold, dead fingers. Indeed, the president's son may be channeling more the National Rifle Association than its catch line. If the court rejects the diversion agreement as executed, Hunter could be making an argument that will leave the Biden White House in something of a pickle. Well, Tim, what would that pickle? What are your hypotheses? What do you think the pickle would be?
Well, I think the pickle they've played with in the past has been the Bruin decision. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Can't believe you just worked in playing with a pickle and got away with it. Okay, so no, that's good. That's good. I like that. Playing with pickles. It's all good. It's all good. Well, we're just gonna focus. This is serious business, Tim. This is serious.
We got to move past this one.
The Bruin decision. Yes. The Bruin decision. And also, I don't want to get canceled. But other than that, the Bruin decision, man, it's key. It's everything because it's legit. No matter how many pickles you play with. Anyway, let's keep going. Mr. Producer, let's hit number 4. Because I think no matter your pickle preference, because it's 2023, baby, and the White House is the White House. Let's just go on to number 4, though. So here's the code that they reference. Under 18 U.S. State Code, anyone who is an unlawful user of an addicted or any controlled substance, including marijuana, is barred from possessing a gun and can face up to 10 years in prison. However, here comes that however, Tim. Recently, the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit Court ruled the law violated the Second Amendment in United States v. Daniels. The case involved a man who was arrested in possession of marijuana and 2 loaded firearms. The audacity. The Fifth Circuit relied on the Supreme Court's decision in Bruin versus New York Rifle and Pistol Association, which established that firearm laws must conform with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. Well, now what does that have to do with Hunter Biden? Because, Tim, I was told, I was told by the powers that be that Papa Biden said this was bad. This was horrible jurisprudence. It's an extreme right Supreme Court. It's out of whack with the population. That's what I was told.
Yes, that's what his old man believes, and that's probably what he believed right up until he needed the court decision of the Second Amendment to defend himself. And, it's kind of interesting because, many states are legalizing the use of marijuana. The federal government still has it as a Schedule I substance. It's regulated and banned, basically, right? And so they're going at this at the angle of, well, it's an illegal drug. In the 4473 form, you have to answer a question. Are you a user of illegal drugs, yes or no? And if you answer yes, then you do not get to buy the firearm. If you answer no, you do. Now, the problem here is Biden answered no, and then he was using drugs that the federal government considers to be illegal. Now, the irony of this is we went through Prohibition, and most Americans would agree that banning alcohol is pretty dumb. And banning marijuana, in my mind, is pretty dumb, putting people in prison for that, right? It's no different than alcohol, right, in that regard, in my mind. And so the Fifth Circuit is absolutely right in this. They're not going to take away your Second Amendment rights because you get caught with a gun and beer in your car. But because marijuana, which the federal government currently considers to be illegal, but many states don't, well, they're going to take a different tact and say, well, you can't have marijuana and a gun in a car. So the hypocrisy in all these laws and all this stuff is just, we're opposed to that. I'm opposed to all these things, but it's just so funny to see this guy going against his father's gun control agenda and possibly using the Second Amendment, Bruin decision, and other decisions in his favor to try to get himself out of this mess, out of this pickle.
There's that pickle reference again. Tim, I'm kind of bummed out you didn't catch my other Obama reference of the audacity of hope. I'm really kind of bummed out because that was his book. That was like the third Obama reference.
That's true. It was a book.
That's okay. But that's okay. But despite all the Obama references and the pickle references, here comes the payoff because it's about to go into the ultimate irony, Then we're going to mix in some racism endorsed by the federal government, and then we're going to wrap up with ultimate irony. This is about to be the delicious part of the sandwich. All right. So, Mr. Producer, could you throw number 6 up for me? Yet the president may not quite be ready for his son to join actual hunters in advocating for the sweeping gun rights protections included for drug users. In making the argument, Hunter would have to claim that references to gun ownership by law-abiding citizens in past cases like District of Columbia v. Heller and Bruin should not be read to exclude everyone who breaks the law. I literally just watched Hunter Biden lean on the Heller decision and the Bruin decision, Tim. At a high level, we are talking, if you guys are not familiar, we are talking about the Heller decision, which said you have the right to have a firearm in your home, and then its sister decision, which said you have the right to carry a gun in public. It was like the ultimate 1-2 punch for the gun controllers, right in the goods, right in the pickle, so to speak. That's what we're dealing with, and they went after it like crazy. They went after it like crazy, and now it's not just the Bruin decision. Now it's also the Heller decision. After all, Tim, this is Supreme Court precedent.
Yes, and you just know that this is going to cause consternation within the Democratic Party, right?
Oh yeah.
Of course, most of them don't want to see Hunter get charged with anything. They certainly don't want to see him go to jail for anything, regardless of his guilt or innocence or anything. They just don't want to see it for political reasons, right? Mm-hmm. So, but they're going to have a real hard time with this when they've been out there screaming bloody murder at the top of their lungs, like, oh my gosh, we got to ban the guns, and these decisions by this unbalanced court cannot stand. We got to fix that. We got to rebalance the court, and by stacking it with Democrat far-left activist judges just so we can get the decisions we need. And then Hunter Biden gets in trouble, and he's about to get his pickle slapped, and they don't want to use the excuse most likely of Bruin and Heller. So, too many pickle references in this video.
The plan was not to bring in pickles this much, but it just seems to work.
No.
Oh my God.
It's working pretty good.
Goodness gracious. It is. It's a very effective pickle, whatever.
It's an interesting pickle we find ourselves in. Yes.
There it is. Thank you. Thank you for executing that. I totally just fumbled the ball on the goal line, but that's okay. So, Tim, now this is one of my favorite things. My favorite thing. When I watch the United States government, particularly a leftist-leaning administration's United States government currently, who have told me pretty much my entire adult life that everything's my fault based on my demographics. And it's all my fault. Everything's and by the way, Tim, it's your fault too. They lean back on some very questionable things in order to get their means met. For example, number 7, Mr. Producer, because this has actually happened multiple times. Check this out. The government has pointed to how, quote, founding-era governments took guns away from persons perceived to be dangerous. However, the Fifth Circuit noted that those laws targeted unpopular people like Catholics as akin to traitors to the revolution. Smith wrote that drug users are not a class of political traitors, as British loyalists were perceived to be, nor are they like Catholics and other religious dissenters who were seen as potential insurrectionists. There are so many buzzwords there, Tim, and after all, they just needed historical text and precedent in order to do this, and there it is. If you were Catholic, you couldn't have a gun a couple hundred years ago, so the government has clearly got plenty of history of this. It's perfectly fine. And if you were an indigenous person of the United States, well, I mean, you obviously can't have guns either. So, therefore, all of our unconstitutional moves, they work for the Bruin decision. It's okay. That's all we had to do. It's crazy. Man, weird. Racism.
These people are amazing. Oh, my goodness. I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words. This is only going to get better because right now we're speculating we're speculating what his defense is going to be, but we already know because his lawyers have already talked about Bruin in the past. So they've already signaled that this is something they're considering as a strategy. So if they actually go forward with this, it's going to be so funny watching them dance in court trying to, defend their political positions while defending Hunter Biden, while using the Second Amendment in Supreme Court and Fifth Circuit Court decisions to get him off the hook. This is going to be such an interesting dance to watch them play. And then watching CNN and MSNBC and all the others just freak out over everything that comes out about this. It's just going to be gold. It really is.
Oh, absolutely. And the article that we're referencing is linked in the description box. But the way that it's wrapped up here, Tim, listen to this wrap up. This is something that I aspire to. This is this level, all right? So this is number 8, Mr. Producer. I'm so excited for this part. This is the delicious dessert here. So a rejection of the gun diversion agreement could prove an even greater diversion for the Biden family as Hunter embraced the very decisions and rights long opposed by his father. In the meantime, the Justice Department would be citing historical precedent used against Catholics like the Bidens as potential insurrectionists who cannot be trusted with weapons. I don't know if I could improve that paragraph. Oh, good.
That is so funny. Oh my goodness! Yes,
it's so perfect. It's so perfect.
Now they're going to become the victims.
This guy, yes, this guy literally. It's so egregiously bad that he's not getting a sweetheart deal. Again, it cites it perfectly. So then he's going to go on to the Bruin decision and the Heller decision, of which his entire family has assailed for years now. And then as a reference point to say that gun control is perfectly acceptable in a precedent way to satisfy the Bruin decision, that discrimination against Catholics is perfectly fine as a reason to do this. Oh, by the way, the Bidens are Catholics. And then at the same time, we're going to say that they're potential insurrectionists because they're Catholic. It even ties in J6. I mean, you couldn't have made that better.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I tell you what, this is going to be interesting because I can guarantee you these discussions are being had right now, high-level meetings at the White House. Like, how are we going to deal with this? Because, of course,
absolutely,
they're going to want to see Hunter Biden walk on all this stuff, but they know they're in an election year, and this isn't going to help them or their cause. This is going to put egg on their face, depending on what defense he decides ultimately to use. And so I guarantee you they're over their hand wringing right now going like, oh my gosh, what do we do? Okay, how can we spin this? How can we take care of this? And it's going to be interesting to see the stuff that they come up with because I guarantee you it's going to be just absolutely overflowing with hypocrisy and just complete nonsense. So it's going to be, again, gold watching these people try to dance around this subject.
I think that's exactly right. I think the way to wrap that up is it's going to be gold. And I'm so excited. And that's why you guys watch The Second Legacy for said gold.
Yes, and we will bring the gold to you. So until that time, when they're done gold mining over there for us, we're gonna dip out for now. But if you guys would like to be on the show, there is a link in the video description below. Follow that link, answer some questions. We'll get you on the show and talk about whatever two-way issue is at the top of your mind. Thank you for watching The Second Legacy, and we'll talk to you guys soon.